Tier 4 face cards. What's going on, guys? Pegasus and the Wise Guys. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you sub, make sure you hit the bell. Guys, face cards. I love poker, so I know I was going to like this deck a little bit. But this is actually a pretty fun deck to experiment around with and mess around with. So let's look into the deck and let's jump on it. King's Court is out. Let's look into this deck. Let's go.
Deck is very, very fascinating. How it pretty much plays, but it's also not going to be anywhere near meta relevant. I also think it's just very interesting, though. I will say that, and it's very kind of fun to play. But I've seen crazier things happen. Somebody may figure out something way past what I'm doing. I'm just kind of going over the basics of the deck just so people can get somewhere to start. That's what I try to do when a new archetype comes out. So hopefully, here it goes. Arcana Triumph Joker is the card that can pretty much out either floodgates, be it spell or trap kind, and it can also out monsters. Obviously, you know, you could probably Dark Ruler somebody, and then this card can come out and pretty much wipe everything out by discarding the aforementioned type that it says down in this little section down here. Really, really interesting. Whatever they control, you pitch the same card. It's kind of like the deck's own tribe infecting virus. Imperial Bower is why you play Cyframe Gear Gamma, because it is huge ass bait. It says if you control no other monsters, tribute it, and then take 2 different monsters from your deck among Queens, Kings, and Jack's Knight, and add them to your hand or special summon. Usually you're going to special summon because you're going to make a soul day off of this card by itself, and that's where Gamma can come in to pretty much clean up a game. You know, if this lands, I pretty much think you win that game against any deck, unless you're just getting hand trapped to sleep, which a lot of decks are just doing, and that's why you may have to play talents or other cards like that, midbreaker, so on and so forth. You know what I mean. Infernoble Knight Reynard, I feel like you also may want to play the Durandal. You don't have to play the Living Fossil down here. I picked one. That's the one I picked, just because this can kick this back, and then it's just an extender you'll see in a combo. Joker's Knight is the endless, recursive, infinite, recurring card, because it says during the end phase. It doesn't say during your end phase, it says during the end phase. So each time that it's in the graveyard, it's going to have the ability to activate its recursive effect, which says during the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can target one other light warrior monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, add this back to your hand. So it has the ability to do that each and every end phase. Tin can effect ish. You know, just not quite the power level of even Cosmo. King's Knight is the card that you play 3 of. As far as Jack's Knight and Queen's Knight, you play 2 of each. In my opinion, I just feel like that's the correct ratio, because I wouldn't want to play 3 of this, and I damn sure wouldn't want to play 3 Jack's Knight, but that's besides the point. These cards, Sphere Mode doesn't actually have to be in here, but I would recommend it. This doesn't have to actually be in here, but I would recommend it. And since Slifer, I feel like is the mandatory one of the 3. And you play these cards for this card, which is Thunder Speed Summon, as well as this card. But Thunder Speed Summon, because it has the ability during the main phase. So where it says during the main phase or battle phase, immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon 1 level 10 monster. Or if you control either of the 3, you can apply each of the effects instead. Add 1 level 10 non-dark monster with question mark attack from your deck to your hand. Then immediately after that, normal summon, which is how you can actually tribute summon on your opponent's turn and sphere mode them in the middle of the turn. So if your opponent's playing a combo deck and you went first, you literally can just have a combo set up and wait for them to start playing and walk them right into a sphere mode that they pretty much will know is coming. So I don't know if the power level is going to be quite as insane as you would think it would be, but it's definitely going to be very, very interesting. The rest of the deck, because you can go so easily into some Utopia type stuff, I feel like Double or Nothing is perfect card. It's also Light Warrior, just in case you get locked into that. That's why you can still have this package inside of your deck. And then Joker Straight is the last card that you really have to talk about, because the rest of this is self-explanatory besides the face card fusion, which is just a fusion spell for the deck. It says discard 1 card, special summon 1 Queen's Knight from your deck, and add 1 King's Knight or Jack's Knight from your deck to your hand. Then after this effect resolves, you can normal summon 1 monster. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Light Warrior monsters. And that's where a lot of the rest of the deck is kind of interesting. You don't have to play this version. There's a Phantom Knight version, there's a Phantom Knight with Code Breakers version, and there's plenty more other stuff that I could touch on and do combos over. I'll just kind of show it. This Utopia card isn't quite out yet. The first combo I'm probably going to talk about is this, with the Arcana Knight Joker and the Anaconda being able to dump face card fusion. And with that being said, let's get into the combos. Let's go. In the first initial combo, guys, around Unexpected Die and the King's Knight, both of these cards are usually what you want to start with, but this is the minimal baseline combo, as I always do with a lot of these different decks, just so you can get where to start from. You special summon the Queen's Knight and then normal summon King's Knight and special summon Jack's Knight, and that's the fastest way to get all three out on the field. There's no way around it. From there, a Soul Day to dump the Living Fossil and then be able to special summon Reynard and then add the Living Fossil back, thus giving you another extender. And then from there, using those two to make Verte and Arcana. This is just a combo that I don't feel like is optimal, but it's something that you can do. Or you can play the Dragoon package. But from there, being able to then dump the face card fusion to summon the big Joker. By the way, face card fusion does say you can send from the deck, and thus you can summon a card like that. And because you can summon a card like that, you thus have a 3,800 with 2,500 defense beater on the field, which is Arcana Knight Joker.
Yeah, so in this combo, what is occurring is Imperial Brower is pretty much the card that is going to be Ash bait. So I just wanted to show what happens if they Ash the Imperial Brower, pretty much. And then the rest of I'm really want to do a test hand and test duels, but it just came out. And I just want to get this out there. Let's say you normal summon Imperial Bower, and then let's go from there. You normal summon Imperial Bower, you activate effect, tribute it. Your field is wide open. This is why, in my opinion, you play Gamma. They would try to, from there, chain, maybe Ash, you chain Gamma. And then pretty much from there, obviously, if that lands in any deck, really, that's usually game over. But in this case, I feel like it might actually be game over, just for the simple fact that they're just going to get rushed upon, and then a Soul Day following something like that is pretty much going to seal the game no matter what deck is playing a Soul Day. That's just kind of how that's going to boil that down. As far as these, you would go into Omega, in my opinion, first, just to make sure you can rip into Nibiru or something potentially hazardous to you off of their hand, out of their hand. And then from there, the Joker's Knight and Imperial Bower can just work together like this in general if they don't open up any hand traps. And then from there, you just start wombo comboing, going into a Soul Day to add. I would probably add another Imperial Bower just so I could be able to do it again in case everything gets stopped. And the deck can recur itself to where it doesn't die outright if the first wave of stuff gets stopped. But from there, you would special summon Reynard. From there, Reynard effect to add back Living Fossil. You're activating Living Fossil. In my opinion here, this is where I would target Gamma. You can target other stuff, but like I wouldn't want it to get banished. Like, and why would I care about a Gamma after I've already used it? It doesn't matter anymore, right? So from there, you would link those two off into IP Masquerena. It's for the simple fact that whatever extra deck slot you want to pick, you could also pick like I would say like you could try Verte and Anaconda here if you want to play the Dragoon package or some wild like that. But once you get locked into lights and stuff like that, that's just not good anymore. So for this, I'm just gonna say leave it on Masquerena. From there, you could also go into stuff like Arcana Extra Joker. There's plenty of options here to your end board. It's all gonna depend specifically on what else you have in your hand. So for instance, let's say you end. Let's say at the start of your turn you had Joker Straight in your hand. From here you would probably activate Joker Straight. So I'll just go ahead and go through these plays. You could also have a myriad of other cards in your hand, but for this particular combo, I'm saying maybe you had Joker Straight as the rest of your hand. Again, this is like where it gets convoluted because it's not just an easy 1 or 2 card combo deck, and this is why it's not meta right here. But from here, let's say the card was Joker Straight. That allows you to discard a card to special summon 1 Queen's Knight from your deck, and then you can add 1 King's Knight or Jack's Knight, and then immediately after that normal summon, which is what I just did there. And then from there, being able to special summon out Jack's Knight, and then you have 2 light level 5 warriors, light. They're 2 lights. Bottom line, that's what matters. You would end on Pallades, and then from there, maybe you have Thunder Speed Summon in your hand, maybe not. you would probably just end there and then try to go from there into some other convoluted place. It's really like a toolbox deck that's all revolving around a Soul Day. It's just not going to be as good as Infernoble Knights, but it's still going to be something new and something interesting. And it's rather hilarious to sphere mode your opponent. But in case you open one of these cards, you could also right here just tribute summon for Slifer, or you can add and then tribute summon for Slifer, or you can just set this card and maybe sphere mode them in the middle of their turn, which I'll get into in another combo. So from there, using all three of those, like, this isn't a horrible end board for a rogue deck. I mean, that's actually pretty strong for a rogue deck. And that's it for that combo. So in this combo, guys, this is with a 3-card combo. If you open Joker's Knight, Unexpected Die, and King's Knight, I pretty much think it has to be this specific, just because these are the most explosive cards that the deck really has. The other cards are normal, so you know, it is what it is with that. Anyways, getting into the combo, you would activate Unexpected Die to special summon Queen's Knight. From there, you would normal summon the King's Knight, and then from there, you would special summon Jack's Knight from the deck. And that's how you get the 3 on the field as fast as possible. That's why you kind of have to play the Unexpected Die, because it's just a proper card to get the Queen's Knight out of the deck. From there, you take those 2 and you make an Isolde, and then from there, Isolde can either add the new card Arcana Triumph Joker or the other new card Imperial Bower. It's really up to you. I feel like this is the correct card for the simple fact that if you already written through your combo, I don't think you need to do this again, just because you're trying to really prevent your opponent from playing before they really ever get a chance to play. If you can, you know, if you end it on a Slifer, you know, etc., etc. Anyways, from there, you probably would pick the Triumph Joker. That's just my opinion. But from there, Isolde would dump the other equip spell. So in this particular combo, I wanted to highlight why this is an option and why I had it. It does add a brick because Fire Flint Lady is a brick. But from there, you would special summon the Infernal card Reynard. If you've never seen this card before, I don't know where the hell you've been under a rock or something. And ultimately, you would activate that and then destroy itself to be able to add the Fire Flint Lady. And then Fire Flint Lady being the additional card in your deck that hopefully you haven't locked yourself under the light restriction that I mentioned before in the profile. But from there, using those 2 cards and the Isolde as its 3 different warrior monsters is how you can actually summon Arcana Extra Joker. Now, is this card that worth it? I don't really know. I feel like it's decent, but you know, in the meta game, I don't think it's going to stand up to the meta. But it's interesting, and when cards are targeted and specific decks do target, i.e. Sky Striker, it's just something to think about. From there, you would be able to dump for Joker's Knight another card from your deck. I would pick the King's Knight just because you play 3 of them. And then from there, you would special summon, and then ending your board, I would try to play on this side, but either or, I was just showing you could play on either side of it. You would end on Pallades. Decent. I'm not going to say it's super duper amazing, but at least a decent board for a deck like this. The comical one. If you don't open anything, or if you build the deck in a different way, I feel like this deck is kind of similar to Buster Blader, how it could kind of shock the living hell out of you with a card like Joker is Wild and a card like Thunder Speed Summon. Maybe let's say you brick or you built it this way to pretty much do this to your opponent. I find this absolutely hilarious because this deck can play on your opponent's turn. So the Joker's Wild card specifically says during the main phase of battle phase, send 1 spell from your deck to the graveyard to specifically list all of the names, etc., etc. So you'll get what I mean. So I'm leaving the trap trick there just as the extra Joker's Wild in case you don't open them or you built your deck this way. But Joker's Wild can dump the Joker straight and it can copy the card. And this card says discard 1 card and special summon 1 Queen's Knight. So obviously you need whatever that card is blank in your hand, I guess. And then from there, summon Queen's Knight on your opponent's turn, as well as add and then normal summon the King's Knight. So you would add the King's Knight, and then from there, normal summon the King's Knight. Thus, normal summoning, and then special summoning Jack's Knight, and then in the middle of your opponent's turn, you've done the same thing that you could have done in your own turn. This is why Joker's Wild is a good card for the deck, specifically. At the conclusion of this is where I really find the deck hilarious, and yes, the normal summons do stack
like this, and yes, they do work like this. So just in case you think that they don't, or you have any questions, they 100% do. But from there, you would then be able to add, because you control all three, either Slifer or sphere mode, which sphere mode is absolutely hilarious. But let's say you still have the other, you went first, you set 2 cards, and you still have 3 cards in your hand. You have Slifer with 3 cards in your hand, not horrendous, but you also have sphere mode in the middle of your opponent's turn. They're playing a wombo combo deck. Okay, well, here you go. And then from there, being able to immediately after summon, it's pretty devastating, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this has helped you in some kind of way. What in the world to do with this deck? I appreciate you for tuning in. Pegasus signing out. Enjoy your day. YG, baby. Good luck in the YCS. Go win it.